guys? Bart here. I'm here with my friend Joey Flexx, longtime supporter of Barbell Brigade. He actually started off in our original gym, and now he has coached some of the strongest people you know in powerlifting, and he's also widely considered as one of the top powerlifting coaches. This is Joey Flexx.
How's it going, guys? Joey here. Today we're going to be walking you through the deadlift.
Conventional.
So today we're going to be talking about the conventional deadlift. We're going to start from the ground up, okay? So first things first is we have to figure out where we're going to put our feet. For a conventional, where I like to start is placing your shins just where the smooth meets the knurl. So it's going to be right here. So go ahead, Bart. Step up right next to it. Yep, there you go. Now, let's actually bring it in a little bit. Let's go an inch. Yeah, right there. Okay, just inside. That way, you know, when he's breaking the bar from the ground, he's not scraping himself on the knurl. There's some discussion online between like which angle your toes should be facing. I have found for me personally, it allows me to just mentally engage my quads a little bit more and protect my lower back if I angle my feet out some, just a tiny bit. There you go, just like that. You can play with it like with most, you know, powerlifting things you wanna, or just movements in general, you wanna experiment with it a little bit. Okay, so now that we have our feet set, we need to place our hands on the bar. So Bart, let's go ahead and put your hands kind of in the same place, like with right where the smooth meets the knurl. Yes, right there. Yes, let's go with the mixed grip. We'll talk about grip like after we kind of go through the general movement. Before we even think about breaking the bar from the ground, a lot of people start with the bar a little bit too close to them, right? The bar is like way close to the shin, and then we end up doing kind of like an RDL. I like to put the bar exactly. So as you guys saw, drop your hips a little bit. His knees kind of came forward, and if you guys can see that, the bar is right over the sort of like the knuckle or the ball of his foot, right? Right around there is going to be where you're going to want to start. If it's not something you're doing, I would say try it, and you might feel you're protecting your lower back, you're getting some more quads involved. So let's extend your legs again. So he's got his hands placed on the bar. Really quickly, you've seen some people hold the bar in their fingers, right? You see some people hold the bar up here, and then we see some people hold the bar in the palm of their hand, right? Kind of giving the bar an Indian burn. There's going to be people that are going to see success doing all three. I would say for most people, you're going to need to kind of go with Indian burn, right? Which is going to be deep in the palm. Yep. And then you can move it a little bit lower if you have the grip strength. I know for some of my lifters, they're like kind of like a middle ground. And then there's other lifters that have super strong fingers and they can kind of like get it down here. That's really going to depend on you and your anatomy. So once you figure that out, we got our hands on the bar, we got our feet set. You guys can see that his legs are extended. By having his legs extended like this, he's not going to be as tight as when he drops his hips. But before we do that, what I like to tell people is to think to make yourself long, right? And what does that mean? So you're going to want to, so Bar, I want you to kind of extend your arms away from you, right? Yes, like push away from you, flex your triceps, almost act like you're going to break the bar, like break the bar in half, right? So you're going to externally rotate your arms this way, like that. Yeah, so you're going like this, right? Yeah, so grab the bar, then try to break it. Yes, okay. Now push away from you, right? Getting nice and long, okay? Now from this position, you can breathe in, brace your core nice and tight. You're gonna flatten your back. You're gonna pull slack out of the bar and drop your knees forward, look forward, right? And then you're gonna stand up. Yes, no, let's do that again. Put the bar down. Something to remember, so breathe in, make your arms long, chest up, drop your hips, and stand up. Yes, let's go one more. Now, when you're doing this, some people are gonna be more bent over, some people are gonna be more upright. It's really gonna depend on the person and how you're built. As you're doing this, you wanna drive through your midfoot. I always try to say midfoot, maybe a little bit of your heels, it really depends. If you're getting too much on your heels, I'd say the bar is probably a little bit too close to you and you might have some balance issues. So start with the bar a little bit further in front of you. So we change the angle because I want to demonstrate something for you, or Bart's going to demonstrate for us. So Bart, go ahead and grab the bar again, exactly how we did before, right? So yes, so you don't have to try to break the bar like that. It's just an easy way to kind of get your mind to extend your tricep. If you're pulling with the mixed grip, you don't want to tear your bicep. So if you have your tricep flexed, it's going to be less of a chance of that happening. Now I'm going to try to talk about where the bar should be in relation to like sort of like his armpits, right? If you guys have ever seen, so bar, I want you to breathe in, brace, kind of drop your hips, right? Stop right there. If you guys look, you want to kind of have the bar almost in line with the back of his armpit, right? Right? You don't want the bar too far back. You don't want the bar too far forward. And then just stand up. Okay? So you guys may have heard of pulling slack. It's one of the hardest things to teach in the deadlift. And essentially what you're trying to do, just like, you know, on the bench, we try to take slack out of our arch. We want to take slack out of the bar. What this is going to do is you're almost preloading your body, which is going to basically keep you safe. It's a lot easier on your back. It's going to increase your chance of success and control. With all three lifts, you want to demonstrate control, but it's going to add more control into the lift itself. It's kind of difficult to get at first because it takes a lot of like mind muscle control. But if you can do it, I mean, try it out. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but like, you know, if we're lifting heavy and we want to protect ourselves, it may not be, you know, we're getting uncomfortable, right? So what we're going to do is Bart's going to put his hands on the bar, right? So you can put his hands on the bar, and then what I want you to do from this position, you're thinking to make yourself long, but I want you to apply, it's hard because there's not a lot of weight, but I want you to apply a little bit of tension into the bar, right? You're already applying some tension into the bar right now. Now what he's going to do is he's going to wedge himself down into position, and he's going to build a ton of pressure in his core. So, you know, let's say this is 100 pounds. He's already putting 80 pounds of pressure into it. You get what I'm saying? It's ready to go. So all he has to do from this position is just push with the legs, and he's going to stand right up. You get what I'm saying? So I'm going to go over that one more time. So hands on the bar. You're going to get nice and long, right? Breathe in. You're applying some tension into the bar, and as he drops his hips, he's going to maintain that pressure in the bar and then push with the legs. Boom, just like that. So it is kind of a difficult thing to understand, but if you can get it, it's going to really, it's if you see people kind of yank on the deadlift bar or whatever, they're going from 0 to 100 real quick. Your back is like zero tension, and then like you're just breaking the bar off the ground, right? This is kind of preloading the body. It's a lot easier on the back. It helps you stay a little bit more durable. And like I said, it's going to increase your chance of success, not only controlling the weight, but just like your longevity. Now, you guys, like me and Bart, we're not like the most built for conventional. Like we kind of round a little bit when we put our hands on the bar. There's a couple different things you can do to kind of help with this. So if you put your hands on the bar again, right, you'll notice he might start to round some. If you have a longer torso, you're going to round some. And for me personally, I need to round some, or I'm not going to, like I just can't break the bar from the ground unless I add some of that. But that is a compromise that I'm willing to give up in order to, you know, do powerlifting, right? If I want to lift heavy conventional. So bar's hands on the bar. He's going to breathe in. He's going to apply some tension. He's going to drop his hips. Before you break the ground, stay right there. If you guys notice, he's rounded right here, but he's braced. He's nice and tight. Everything is locked in, right? There's a little bit of rounding here, but you can build these muscles up. You can literally be a beast and have like just slabs of muscle on your back, so that you're just going to protect yourself, right? And if you're properly bracing, applying tension into the bar, you're not going to get hurt because you're not yanking. Now, if you're rounded like this and you're just yanking all the time, you're probably going to screw yourself. So then just go ahead and stand up, Bart. Boom, just like that. Now, there are a couple things you can do to kind of help with this. So your hands on the bar, let's bring the bar over the balls of your feet, the knuckle of your foot, and then turn your feet out even more, like just like exaggerated. There we go. So now by him doing that, bring your knees forward, right? It's going to help him keep this a little bit straighter. When you guys try it, you'll feel less tension on your back from doing that. You don't necessarily have to always do it that way. It's just like if you're one of those guys with a super long torso, you might need to you need to protect your back at all costs. So
is this considered a long torso?
I'd say mine's a little bit more messed up than yours, but it's pretty long. It's pretty long, brother.
Okay.
He's got that high bar, you know, the long torso with the. Would you say your femurs are long or short?
I think my femurs are long.
Really?
I don't know.
Everybody has long femurs. Like if your squat's not super big, long femurs.
I don't have
long femurs, bro.
Yeah, I don't have a good
You know what? Matter of fact.
But high bar does feel way better than low bar, like tremendous.
There you go.
Yeah.
So So I hope you guys are able to take something away from that. It is some rounding is acceptable, and you will drive yourself crazy trying to completely eliminate it depending on your mobility. Some people, they're gonna have nice, perfect, straight lower backs, and they're gonna have all their tension on their glutes, and they're not gonna round at all. Other people literally won't be able to get into position. Maybe their hamstrings and glutes are too tight. I don't necessarily think you can do too much about that. So you have to accept with any lift, you know, there's no like perfect form. There's just a form that is going to be like good enough for you. And then once you embrace that, you're going to get so much farther ahead faster than if you're constantly like, oh, the greatest conventional deadlifter in the world has like this beautiful, perfect, you know, straight back. Little do you know, they have like no torso and like super long legs and super long arms. You get what I'm saying? So you got to find out what works best for you. Everybody's different. Protect your back at all costs. Build up a lot of tension. That's how I like to teach the conventional deadlift.
So in terms of powerlifting, I think people are aware that it's more of a technique with the most mechanical advantage. So if they're stronger with the sumo or stronger with the conventional, they know which one to choose for competition. But in terms of building muscle, is there one that builds more muscle than the other?
It's a hard question to answer because there's like narrow stance sumo, there's wide stance sumo, there's obviously conventional, and there's going to be people that build more muscle doing one than the other. In my opinion, I think a narrow stance sumo and a conventional deadlift are going to build very identical amounts of muscle. They're going to be working very similar things. There are small differences, but just like with the super wide grip bench, on a sumo deadlift, if your range of motion is 2 or 3 inches, you know, it's just not practical for building a ton of muscle. If you're a bodybuilder, you're like, I don't know why you would do that movement unless you just wanted to lift a lot of weight and impress people in the gym. In my opinion, conventional is probably the most valuable movement in existence in the squat, right? If I had to pick one, like if I was only stuck with one, I'd be fine with either. You know, the conventional deadlift is an incredibly valuable lift. It's, if we want to talk about functionality, it carries over to a lot of different sports. It's very functional for powerlifting because it's obviously a comp lift. But I think, you know, the conventional deadlift is an incredibly good muscle builder if you have back issues and you can't really do it consistently, but you can work a narrow stance sumo. That you're gonna like the difference in the amount of muscle you build is gonna be negligible. The only time you really start to give up a lot of hypertrophy is if you're doing like crazy wide stance, and even then it depends on the individual. You're probably gonna be able to tolerate a lot more like overall relative volume, as opposed to someone who, you know, is just doing conventional, because conventional is going to be a lot of stress on the muscles, really going to tax your back, whereas like a short range of motion sumo, you're going to be able to do it super frequent. It's the same kind of philosophy with the wide grip bench.
All right, so let's say I don't have a coach or I don't have a program that I'm following. Should I be putting deadlift on my lower body day, like along with squats? Because deadlift also works the back, or do I put it on a back day? Do I put it on an upper body day? How would you recommend someone to incorporate into their training?
So I think it really depends on what the rest of your split looks like and how you want to like organize the rest of your movements. But in my opinion, you can make it work either way. You can make the deadlift an accessory to a leg day. So maybe your main movement is like the squat, and then you're doing, you know, some RDLs or deadlifts for some posterior chain at the end, because you want to work the front and the back. Or, you know, you have a designated back day where you're incorporating some deadlifts as well. Like I said, it really depends on what the rest of your program looks like. It's not like, I don't want people to get so hung up like, oh, it has to be on back day. Oh, it has to be on, you know, leg day or whatever. You know, again, if you're pulling sumo, narrow stance sumo, maybe you want to add it on a leg day because you're going to feel your legs a little bit more. So it really depends. It's flexible. It's whatever you want it to be.
Gotcha. So once again, when I'm out there in these commercial gyms and they see me go on the sumo stance, they start making fun of me, hurting my feelings. They go, "Oh, he's a cheater. How am I gonna trust me? I'm not a cheater. This is a different way of deadlifting." Is sumo cheating compared to conventional deadlift? Just because conventional has more range of motion.
Sumo, for powerlifting purposes, is legal in competition. You can do it. If you want to call it cheating, I mean, that's up to you, but it's legal. It's 100% legal. It is cheating in the sense that like you are moving the bar less distance most of the time. But aside from that, I mean, sumo is very technical, and it's not. I wouldn't like diminish anyone's accomplishments. Sumo, it's just how they're better to lift. It's like, oh, if you're stronger high bar than low bar or something like that. So again, it depends on what you're doing. If it's sport specific to your sport, it's completely legal. If you're just trying to, you have to treat them as like separate things. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know why anybody would neglect one over the other. I think a lot of sumo pullers, they kind of neglect the conventional deadlift. And I think if they incorporated that, it would blow up their sumo as well. So that's a little tip.
What about if people are trying to figure out is one easier than the other?
It depends. Some people are gonna be they take on the sumo very well. I would say sumo is a little bit more technical, and there's some things that you need to consider. Whereas conventional, you might be able to just grip and rip and like get away with it. I don't think one is easier than the other, like relative to like range of motion, but they both have their own difficulties, and one is going to be easier on your back than the other. You know what I mean? It really depends. There's no like right or wrong, and does it really matter? Like at the end of the day, it's both deadlifting. If you can lift 700 pound sumo but only 650 conventional, relative difficulty is going to be very similar. You get what I'm saying? Like it's both your max on each one. So it's I think we got to respect them both.
Which one will get more, like 650 conventional or 700 sumo?
It depends. If you're training at Barbell Brigade, 700 sumo. If you're training at a Kami gym, maybe conventional. If you're training at a Kami gym and you're pulling sumos 700, no one's gonna even. They're not even gonna look at you.
Yeah, that's true. Just make fun of you. Is a Kami gym commercial gym or a comedy gym?
So the term Kami gym, in my mind, when I hear it, I just think of like commercial gym. Like, it's just it's not like a gym. It's not like a communist gym.
Is that a socialist gym?
No.
Oh, okay.